Okay, we got volume. We got 6 people watching. Hello, everybody. I have no idea who's here. Sounds like we got the audio problem worked out. I don't know why it's not capturing my desktop audio. I'll figure that out for next time, but for now, you'll just hear my desktop audio through my monitor and, recorded through my mic. So, welcome, whoever's here. My name is Kevin. I run a YouTube channel called Lazy Alien Studios with my friends, including Chris, Gordy, and Matt. Gordy's here in the chat. Chopper, say hi if you're watching. This is my very first stream, and today I want to do some live debunking of Flat Earth. I mean, what can I say? If you're familiar with the Flat Earth theory, it was what we thought the Earth was before we understood what science and math were, but now we know better, and for some reason, right around 2015, people started to believe again that the Earth is flat. I'm sorry, I'm going to turn off OBS there so you're not seeing that eternal image. So I am a space enthusiast. I love space exploration and everything that goes on up there. So when I discovered the Flat Earth Society, I got, like, the best word is annoyed at just the amount of misinformation going on. Like, it's the first time I watched one of them, I watched it completely open-mindedly. I was like, the Flat Earth theory, what is this? I had absolutely no idea what it was going in, and I immediately just started going, no, that's wrong, no, that's wrong. What's up, Cypher? Good to see you in the chat, man. Thanks for watching. So we're about to get started. What I'm going to do here is at least one video that I'm going to refute point by point. I found this one a little while ago, and I picked it because of the title, because it's so typical Flat Earth. NASA fails again and again. Like, that's totally their attitude, is oh my god, look at NASA, those buffoons. Look at us, we stupid people who like, we average people who have completely managed to figure out everything that's going on with this multi-billion-dollar government company. Ridiculous. But, so, NASA fails again and again. Space is fake. Glitch on the ISS. From the channel Odd Reality. Here's to show how fair I am. If you're for some reason interested in this crap, go to Odd Reality's channel. You can watch this video and other nonsense. But let's get started. I'm going to start playing the video, and then I'm going to pause it. The first time I come up with anything, the first time he says anything that's wrong, I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to continue to do that throughout. There's going to be a lot of pauses. Prepare for that. Here we go, folks.
ODDTV.
So, on January 3rd, 2018, there was a major malfunction on what's called the International Space Station.
A major malfunction? No, there wasn't. There's actually never been a major malfunction on the ISS, because most major malfunctions would cause it to blow up. But can you hear his voice in the video okay? Just need to know if my viewers can hear his voice in the video. We've got to hear the other stupid side. I know, Chris, I know, because I've gone over this clip. I've seen this clip before, so this is not new to me. You can hear him perfect. Awesome. I'm so glad the volume's good. I'm doing it ghetto, but I'm glad you can, like, hear and understand. Okay, so tell us about this major malfunction, sir.
In a video on NASA's YouTube channel called Space Station Crew Members Discuss Life in Space with the Media.
It was actually on NASA's webpage and then shared through Facebook and YouTube and other various channels. It comes directly from their website. What, you think NASA runs its video feeds through YouTube? You think the two are linked? Is that part of the conspiracy theory? Come on.
The 3 astronauts, astronauts.
Oh my god,
all
really? Really? Acternauts, guys. We need to pause for a moment and just dig on acternauts. That's wonderful. Like, it's always so hostile and like unnecessarily, like, making fun of the thing they're trying to debunk. And it's like, that's not how you do science. How you do science is you say, hey, I have this theory, and look, here's my evidence for the theory. You don't make up stupid like puns like actronauts. Not that I'm offended. Don't get me wrong. I don't get offended. I get insulted, but this isn't insulting. It's just dumb, you know? That's all that is dumb. So, tell us about the 3 astronauts, sir.
Appear simultaneously while the background layer of the ISS remains intact.
The background layer. The background layer. Okay, so he's probably going to go on about this a little more, but I'm going to explain that whole glitch, everything that happened there, very simply. Alright, so if anyone who's familiar with video encoding and like the way things are streamed, the way video is transferred through data and through cables and all that kind of stuff, and through wireless technology, which obviously is being used on the ISS, you probably know what video artifacts are. Video artifacts they're basically transmission errors or encoding errors in the stream of the video, where you end up with things like leftover frames, basically. So when something moves, like when the video progresses and something moves, in its previous location will be a frame of the previous frame. It'll leave this corrupted leftover frame of what used to be. So that's what's happening there, is you're seeing a series of video artifacts, and he's going to point out how it only happens to the astronauts, and probably that this thing here, this piece of equipment, I don't know what that is, but that's clearly in what he would call the front layer of the video. So that gets distorted as well, because he thinks it's a layering issue. And he's going to point out how the background of the ISS doesn't distort. And he's right, it doesn't. Do you know why? Because like I said, video artifacts are leftover frames of the previous frame. So what did the previous frame look like here? Just like that. Nothing moved. So there's no leftover frames to see. So of course you wouldn't see anything. This is basically exactly what happens to a bad Skype call before it disconnects. So let's hear his bullshit explanation for it now that I've told you the basics of how video encoding works.
Thank you very much again. Thank you for your time. Have a good flight and many more exciting experiments on the orbit. Thanks a lot.
I hope he's not just going to show it over and over. Yeah, see, the parts that don't move don't have artifacts because there's nothing. There's nothing there.
When you look at this thing, this, and the actors, they are the only things that mess up. Watch closely.
They're the only things that move. Because they're the only damn things that move.
This is a big deal because it means without any doubt whatsoever that there was live editing and video manipulation.
Without a doubt.
Not only would the background get scrambled as well, but these guys wouldn't all disappear at the same time.
Yes, they would, because they're all moving at the same
time. So check that one out on
artifacts
NASA's channel. I'll leave a link in the description.
Oh, please do. Thank you. Okay, so yeah.
There are a lot of us.
So, NASSholes? Wow. Alright. Am I not loud enough, guys? Alright, so when I speak, I'll try to pause the video so it's not over talking. So the basics of that one was he doesn't understand what video encoding is. He doesn't understand what an artifact is and the reasons it won't affect anything that isn't moving. Do I sound okay when the video's not playing? Someone let me know in the chat. So that's all that is. I had this thought when I did a Debunking Flat Earth YouTube series. And I had this thought in the middle of it, which was basically, is this whole theory that like a bunch of elderly people don't understand technology, so they just go, it must be some kind of government CIA propaganda, blah blah blah. It's ridiculous. He just doesn't understand how encoding works, therefore it's a conspiracy. That's the leap in logic we're dealing with here. So NASSholes, continue with NASSholes. See what I mean? Petty stuff.
Us that have been showing this stuff for years, and people are waking up to the deception, while some refuse to acknowledge it.
Thanks for
In fact, many people hold the idea of outer space and NASA very near and dear to their hearts. So much so that when they are shown this evidence, their ego won't allow them to accept that space is a hoax.
Sort of like how when people show you videos of the ISS filmed through their own telescopes, you say that it's like a drone, like the world's most unaerodynamic drone that never gets, like, needs to come down for repairs or anything, and can be tracked around the entire world. Like, you exhibit the exact same cognitive dissonance that you claim NASSholes do. I guess NASSholes are people like me. It's space enthusiasts and anyone who works for NASA, etc. Anyone not part of the Flat Earth Society. That's a weird leap in logic, my bro. This guy's strange. He's sort of the same level of paranoid that Maximus was. Maximus is this guy I debated. There's a copy of it on the YouTube channel. They're the ones to talk about ego. Or they're ones to talk about ego. See, that's what I mean. Like, they're so certain that Earth is flat. I tried to goad another one into debating with me. I've been trying to get a few of them to, but none of them are taking the bait. And this last guy I tried, he said, "Truth doesn't need defending. I know I'm right, so I don't need to debate with you." And it's like, you're so full of yourself, man. Like, I know the Earth is round, and I'm not that full of myself. Come on, man. All right, let's keep going. Let's do this thing.
Years of psychological programming through various media doesn't help either. But whether we like it or not, NASA and all the other space agencies are lying to the world. They're lying to you. They're lying to your kids.
Why?
We've caught NASA too many times to count at this point.
When? Name one.
We catch them glitching.
Oh, look, more artifacts. Oh, look at that. Did you see that? Okay, so that was just a moving wire in the background that you literally saw. It was just leftover frames of that same wire.
Catch them glitching.
That's all you're looking at. You see that shit on Skype all the time. How is this proof of them slipping up? It makes no sense whatsoever. You're making such massive leaps because you don't understand video technology. Me, and Cypher and Gordy in the comments, chat rather, we have a YouTube channel where we do video editing and stuff, and we see this shit all the time. It's just how video works when it doesn't work properly. It's just video fucking up, man. Welcome to the 21st century. Let's keep going. What? Oh, his hand? Okay. Yeah, again, leftover frame. You're literally overlaying the leftover frame. He's showing us how it is nothing at all. He just doesn't understand that it's nothing at all. Leftover frames. Thank you for highlighting it. Oh, and also while he does movements that would be impossible with a harness. Isn't that wonderful? The guy was upright, now he's sideways, same shot, no cuts. I assume in the actual interview there's no cuts. And that would be impossible
There's
with a
this
harness,
one video where the actor is going around a corner and he is faded out before making it completely out of the viewer's sight.
I've heard of this one. I'm going to admit, that one I'm a little unsure on because that looks weird. That it could very well be a leftover frame because it's not clear enough for us to actually see properly. I think it probably is just another leftover frame. It looks weirder than the other ones. I'll give them that. That one's a little odd. But I also have this weird suspicion that one's edited because flat earthers have done that before. Maximus, the guy I debated, sent me a photo that was photoshopped to try and prove the flat earth by showing moon illumination when it couldn't possibly be happening. And it was so deceitful, and I worry that that's what's going on here because, to be honest, I'm not sure what that is. I'm fairly certain that's just another incident of leftover frames, but I can't say for absolute certainty. So, I don't know. If anybody has any ideas in the comments or anyone wants to agree with me or disagree with me, feel free. This could turn into a debate in the chat, and I'm fine with that. But in the meantime, let's continue. I mean, it's a little choppy. It could be frames. It is frames.
Let's not forget.
It is frames. Because look. Oh, I've got it. I totally figured it out. It's frames because if you look at this instrument here, it shifts.
Let's not forget
as well. It shifts at the same time he fades. So again, yep, it's just leftover frames. Look at that. These videos constantly disprove themselves. That's something I'm noticing, is that they constantly just show how they're wrong. I'm 28 minutes into the stream, and we're less than 4 minutes into the video, and he's been wrong about everything. This is gonna get tiresome, my friends. Help me out. Stick with me. Let me know how I'm doing here. And let me know if you can still hear everything. I gotta know the stream's going well. It's my first time. No idea what I'm doing, okay?
Let's not forget space bubbles.
Oh, space bubbles! Yay! Ah, physics-defying space bubbles! Oh, isn't that great? You ever seen a space bubble go up sideways? A space bubble. You ever seen an air bubble rise up fucking diagonally? Has anyone ever seen that happen? Of course you haven't, because it doesn't happen. Oh, this is Chinese footage. That's interesting. I wonder if that's from the Chinese space program, because I honestly don't know what their equipment and stuff looks like. I know they have a satellite very similar to the Discover satellite that takes daily photos of Earth. That's really cool. But this could just be NASA footage shown from a Chinese channel, so I can't really tell. But yeah, space bubbles, they defy physics and all logic, because they're not bubbles. They're like bits of debris. They're whatever was stuck to the astronaut's suit when he went into the vacuum. They're, you know, there is bits of water in their suits from like certain like tanks, like pressurizing tanks and shit. I can't remember the actual terminology for it, but I've seen a video that explains it, that it's something to do with their oxygen. There's water in their suits. It's in some part, and a little bit of it will leak out from time to time. So that could be what you're seeing. It could be little bits of shit on the suit, like I said. It could be very many things. It could be paint chips from the equipment they're on, from the ISS or the shuttle or whatever they're coming out of. There's so many explanations. Why do you jump to it's air bubbles? Because you want to confirm your theory, that's why. Going up diagonally again. Another diagonal one. That looks like a paint chip. So does that. Don't even know what I'm looking for there. Oh, these little bits here. Who the fuck knows what that could be? That's the ISS. It's traveling fucking 18,000 miles per hour. That could be anything flicking by it. Again, the jumping to conclusions bothers me.
Dave Williams about to move out of the Quest airlock. Those particles that you see emanating from the airlock is said by the EVA officer Paul Baim in Mission Control to be particles of water from the crew's sublimators on their spacesuits.
Sublimators. Of course I wouldn't remember what the term was. Sublimators. It's just part of it's either part of the oxygen system or part of the whole like ballast system to keep them balanced. Yeah, there is water in the suits and it does leak out sometimes. So yep, you do sometimes see space bubbles. But again, why jump to the conclusion that, oh, we're looking at them underwater like they do when they're in training? That's not really training. That's actually them on the ISS, and then they just do green screen trickery. Like, why do you jump to that crazy conclusion instead of the many others that could exist? That's what I don't understand. We're going frame by frame now, so that we can see what they just explained to you. Why include the part that explains what they are? Oh, also, I think that's the mirror.
So,
that last footage was from the Mir space station, which came down in 2001, I think. But that looked like the Mir, and that thing is old as shit. Everything they used on it was old as shit. It was Russian, so everything was fucking secondhand. You know, these are the people that built their most famous gun out of old tank parts. That Mir was a piece of shit.
Many times during spacewalks outside the International Space Station, we can see air bubbles rising up. Can you touch on how there are air bubbles in space?
Can you be more specific? Air bubbles?
So yeah, like a lot of times during the NASA footage, you can see bubbles coming up out of the helmets or kind of from underneath you. How do you explain bubbles in space?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, cut that interview short so we can't see the rest of his answer, because he wasn't clearly mid-sentence or anything. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting, because I'm familiar with Scott Kelly. I don't know why he wouldn't... Well, here's what it is. Flat Earthers don't realize that astronauts and people who work at NASA and, like, say, Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin, people who've walked on the moon, done shit like that, they don't care about Flat Earthers. They really, really don't care. So it makes perfect sense that an astronaut would respond to a Flat Earther question like that, because I would respond to that going, oh, I've seen those videos, I know exactly what you're talking about, that's bullshit. But an astronaut hasn't seen those videos. He's too busy being up in fucking space.
and it just happens that actors train in an underwater tank.
Stop saying actors, you dick. And yeah, I mentioned that already. Of course they train in an underwater tank. We know this.
NASA tells us that the Earth is photoshopped because it has to be.
Oh, yes. Oh, gold mine. Oh, what have we stumbled onto here, folks? If anybody's familiar with this, tune in the comments. This is fucking great. I am all over this. I am on this like white on rice, my friends. Okay. I need to calm down for a second, because that's exciting. That's exciting. He's going back to the classic points. When was this video made? January of this year. And he's using the same old flat earther points. Maximus brought this up in the debate. If anybody watching has seen that debate and remembers, he exclaims that the continents are different sizes in different photos of the Earth. Yeah, of course they are, because they were all made with different equipment, including equipment that was at different distances. Meaning, of course, continents are going to appear different sizes because they're making composites with these images. Incidentally, I actually know where every single one of these photos is from. So 2002 is the second, the second blue marble photo is the 2002 one. And that one, okay, so there's several things we can say about that one. First, it was never claimed to be a photo of Earth. That picture has never once, nobody has ever claimed that is an accurate photograph of Earth. They have always said that it is an artistic representation made up of composites, which is exactly what it is. It's made up of satellite data that passed over the Earth several times. Flat Earthers love to point at this one because the satellite missed really long stretches of water, so they filled it in with like Photoshop stamp tool, basically. And then the guy who made it, the guy who edited the image, his name is, oh, I gotta get this right. Damn it. Oh, they're gonna show the picture with his face where they say he looks really guilty because his eyes are wide, and I think it's just because he's fucking awkward. I can't remember the dude's name, but the guy who made it, he says in an interview, it is Photoshop because it has to be. And he's right. That image had to be Photoshop because of the way it was made, like I've just explained. Because it missed certain sections, and because it was never meant to be a photo in the first place, because it was meant to give us this artistic visualization of Earth. So, yeah, of course there's flaws in that image because it was never meant to be an accurate photo. Second, okay, 2012. That, I believe, is the like third or fourth blue marble image. That's another composite one. It has the same problems that the 2002 image has. It was never claimed to be an accurate image. It's an artistic representation. I don't think there's as much Photoshop like stamp tool stuff in it because the satellite used to capture it was much better. And as you can see, it was also much closer because the Americas rather are much bigger than they were in 2002 because the satellite was closer, so it captured them at a larger size. You understand how that works? Do I need to like get a webcam so I can hold a ball really close to the camera and then move it away from the camera and then move it really close again so you can see how that's different? Okay, yeah, so that explains those two photos. 2015, now it gets interesting. I know that photo as well. Rather, I don't know that specific photo, but I can tell what took it because all of the photos that come from this satellite look exactly the same. And that's really telling that they look exactly the same. That is from the Discover satellite. It was launched, I think, in 2015, so this is from the year it was launched. It continues to take daily photos of Earth every single day in full view from 1.5 million kilometers away. And that is one of its photos. So that is an accurate representation of what Earth looks like. As you can see, it's distinctly different from the other two. It's not as colorful. It's not as vibrant looking. To be frank, it's not as interesting looking, which is probably why they make these edited photos, to make the Earth look more interesting from afar. Because, yeah, space is hard to see from. So when you get full, accurate views of it, it's not all that impressive. Okay, so go on. So go and tell us about how these are all photos, and they're all supposed to look the same, but they're all clearly Photoshop.
It is Photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Then
There's another layer to sort of simulate.
Called it. Called it. Called it. Called it. Can I just get some, like, applause in the chat? Fucking called it. It is Photoshop, but it has to be, because of the way it was made. Notice how they're not showing the rest of that interview. Notice how they cut away from it to a different part of the interview right away, because that's how you remove context. This way you don't know what he was talking about.
Here.
And then there's this little bright spot.
It's called the specular highlight. So it's the reflection of sunlight off of water.
Those are the pieces, but you can't just slap them all together.
It just didn't look realistic. It looks kind of flat, or the clouds are sort of too see-through. So I just hit Command Z a lot.
There's artistry to creating the world.
I love it. Just take little bits out of context, and it sounds like everything's being faked. No, they're just talking about how they make an image of the Earth look interesting. Is that so hard to understand? You even have the evidence in front of you. That first image kind of looks like shit.
What I imagine it to be. Unfortunately, I'm not an astronaut. I've never been to space.
Oh my god.
Some NASA actors say that
You should have flashed that a little more briefly so that it's more obviously mind control. Yeah, come on. Hey, Mike Massimino. He was on The Big Bang Theory, that show that everybody hates but is so popular that everybody watched it and it stayed on forever.
you can totally see stars when you're in space.
Whilst in space, have you ever looked away from Earth into the black void?
Okay. So I haven't seen this clip, but I'm going to guess and say that Massimino is going to say that it's not a black void. You can see lots of stars. Because that would make sense. On the International Space Station, where he is in that video rather, there's not many windows, but there's a thing called the cupola module. It has a lot of windows, and it usually faces away from the Earth, or rather with the Earth partially in view. It seems to try to capture both things in one image because it's like the most popular spot for photography, but it's also the most popular spot for them to just go and look at the Earth and shit. So yeah, from there, if you're just looking away from the Earth and you're not catching the light of the Earth in your eyes, you're going to see lots of stars. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
all
Because
the
you can
time.
see.
Yeah,
Because you can see the stars.
Oh yeah.
You know, and pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
It's not
which is
a black
cool thing.
void. I mean, it's black, but there's all kinds of little polka dots.
There's all the stars there, and the cool thing is about it, you can see it during the day.
Yeah, you can, and there's more than stars. You can see planets.
That's a strange statement for Massimino to make during the day. How do you determine during the day on the International Space Station? Because it goes around the Earth once every 90 minutes. What does that mean during the day? Also, that's a great freeze frame.
Right?
You see moons.
You see the gas Magellan clouds of the
Yeah,
Milky
you
Way
see
galaxy.
the Magellanic Clouds.
Magellanic. See, I just wanted the Magellan
there's a large
clouds.
one
I
and
didn't
a
want to
small one, right?
Yeah.
And then you can see the zodiacal light.
Whoa.
But the NASA actors from 1969 say that you can't see the stars in space.
What? Oh.
We were never able to see stars from...
Yeah, okay, I knew this was coming. So this is some pretty famous flat earther and moon hoaxer footage. This is the conference after Apollo 11. So in the middle you have Neil Armstrong. On the left you have Buzz Aldrin, and on the right, I don't remember his name, but the third crew member of Apollo 11. And this is frequently used because they claim that the astronauts look uncomfortable, which, if you tell someone that, they do. If you tell someone they look like they just did something remarkable and life-changing, you can also see that too, so that's kind of completely subjective. But yeah, this is famous footage, so I'm guessing, yeah, I remember at some point Neil Armstrong says, like, I don't recall seeing any stars, and it's usually a really short clip that they use. So I think again they've taken this out of context, and he might be saying, I don't recall seeing any stars from the surface of the moon, or I don't recall seeing any stars when we were near Earth. I'm not sure what he's saying, but let's see if it's exactly that clip, that I don't recall clip.
From the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
Aha! Okay. First of all, called it again. Called the second fucking thing. It's exactly that clip. Second of all, notice what he said. From the lunar surface, I don't recall seeing stars while we were photographing stuff. Of course not. Why would you see stars from the lunar surface during the day? The moon is bright as fuck. It's gonna block them out. It's the reason you don't see stars in the photos from the moon. Because that's how camera exposure works. That's how your eye works. That's how visuals works. That's how optics works. Come on, bro.
I don't remember seeing any.
You can see the stars.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
From the International Space Station.
I don't remember seeing any.
From the moon.
NASA says that we can't leave low Earth orbit.
Wait. So I like how he overlays that text at the same time that he says that, because he stops his audio there. We can't leave low Earth orbit. Because there are clips of NASA saying that, because with their current budget and technology, they can't get past low Earth orbit. So I know what this is going to. I know exactly the direction this is heading. We're going back to the moon here. They're going to bring up how NASA claims that we lost the technology to go to the moon. They don't claim that we lost the technology. It was dismantled and repurposed because the Apollo program was done. That's how these things work. When the program is over, you decommission the materials and you repurpose them elsewhere. So we don't have the technology to go to the moon anymore because we took it apart, and when we built it, the world was throwing money at NASA. America was just throwing everything it had at NASA. It basically wrote them a blank check. So no, they can't build it again right now. So therefore, no, they can't leave low Earth orbit right now. So what they're going to do is they're going to find clips of people at NASA saying we can't leave low Earth orbit, and they're going to cut before they can give context to that sentence.
Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go.
The kinds of technologies that we're testing out on Space Station are definitely helping us with our goals of going beyond low Earth orbit.
Okay, so yeah, so she pointed out, we're working on technologies now that are going to get us back out there. It's because now it's years later, and now we can develop this technology better and cheaper. So maybe they can get past low Earth orbit if people, unlike the asshole on screen right now, help them out. Because if anybody remembers, the NASA's shuttle program ended under Obama, so no political psychodrama, of course, but I don't like that he took away the shuttle program. That makes me
Early
mad.
in the next decade, the set of crewed flights will test and prove the systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit.
And this is really the beginning, I think, of human beings leaving low Earth orbit.
One thing I really want your generation to
cut again, because how much you want to bet her next words were again.
Embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth.
One thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed
I'd really like to see the context
system.
of that.
We cannot leave the Earth.
NASA
there we go. NASA lost the advanced bullshit. But yeah, that Bill Nye clip is weird. I don't know the context of that one. If anybody knows what show or documentary or whatever that's from, I'd love to know, and I'd love to see the context of that interview, because it's weird the way he phrases that. I'm going to admit that's a weird statement for Bill Nye to make. But at the same time, Bill Nye has a bachelor's in engineering. He's not really a scientist. He's a former TV show host where he played a scientist. So I'm not necessarily going to take Bill Nye's word for it either. But anyway, go on about how NASA never lost anything, and you're a liar.
tells us that they lost the 1960s technology that took us to the moon.
Wrong.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Why do you keep including the clip that explains exactly what's going on? He explained it in every word there. It's a painful process to put it back together again because they don't have the money anymore, because everything's changed, because it's not the space race anymore. Context, people, context.
The ultimate destination is Mars. So if you gave me all the money in the federal budget today, I could not get a human to Mars.
I think that what you're doing...
well, again, add a context clip. But, yeah, because we're still working on that. And I have no idea how old that clip is, but up until this date, there's problems with getting humans to Mars. We haven't figured out all the ins and outs of how to do it. It's not that we don't have the technology, it's that we're still working on how to use it because we're anticipating for something we can never truly anticipate for because we've never done it. So we're trying to account for every single possible problem first. And it's not that we don't have the money, it's not that there's not enough money, it's that we gotta figure out the how. Why is that so hard to understand?
Is taking a shot in the dark. You have no way of knowing if any commercial entity will ever be able to put a man in orbit, no matter how much money you throw at them. What you're doing is you're taking now...
When the hell is this clip from? Because the ISS has had people in orbit since, 2001 or something?
NASA's manned space program and making it a faith-based initiative. I yield the rest of my time.
What? Okay, that's a crazy
NASA.
man. What? Something about making NASA a faith-based initiative? What the fuck was that? Everybody hear that shit?
You throw at them. What you're doing is you're taking NASA's manned space program and making it a faith-based initiative. I yield the rest.
Okay. He's claiming that they're turning NASA into a faith-based thing because they can't put a man in orbit. But again, there are 3 to 6 people in orbit by NASA right now at any given time, and that's not counting for all of the other people who put shit in orbit.
It's my time.
NASA also says that they lost the telemetry data for the moon missions.
There's another classic. Yep. So supposedly NASA did lose some telemetry data. Not all of it, but they lost some moon mission telemetry data. I don't remember exactly how it occurred, if it was destroyed during transportation, or if it was like written over at some point. But yeah, that's the thing. NASA lost some telemetry data. So here I'm gonna yield very, very, very briefly to the flat earther. He has this right. NASA lost some telemetry data. But this begs the question: why do you jump to the conclusion that you have? That the whole thing must have been faked because they lost some tapes. Some means all. Exactly. NASA lost some, so therefore they can say, they lost all of this data. No, they lost some. And actually, I'm pretty sure they had backups of it as well. But you get what I mean? Like, why is it that it has to be faked because one little thing happened? It's such a straw man argument. It's here's a bunch of little things that don't add up. Therefore, I'm going to jump to this crazy conclusion. It's all very, very odd.
I haven't seen anything that indicates the telemetry data is even in existence, and as I said, even if we had it, we don't have the machines to play it back.
Unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't really give you much of a clue as to where this data ended up and whether it still exists or not.
Okay, so it sounds like it was lost, like literally like lost during transit or something like that. Hey, so I work for a cell phone provider, and probably 5 or 6 times a week I deal with calls where we just like lose like $8,000 worth of phones in shipping. They just fucking go missing. Thousands of dollars goes missing while being transmitted to and from our company. Shit goes missing. It happens. And?
Speaking of fabricated moon missions, we as humanity have been being systematically brainwashed to accept the moon landing when they finally did fake it. For instance, in 1902, the very first sci-fi movie ever made came out. It was called A Trip to the Moon.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. That's funny. Yeah, Yeah, science fiction predicted space travel. Because here's the thing. Okay, here's what he's doing is he's picking out little bits and trying to establish a pattern with it, because human beings love to see patterns, and if you show them a fake pattern, they'll believe it's there. Science fiction for the last 200 years has predicted basically everything. Like, Star Trek predicted laptops and arguably smartphones. Arguably 3D printing. Replicators? Or whatever the fuck they're called. Is it called a replicator? The thing that you get food from in Star Trek? But science fiction has predicted so much shit, including, yes, space travel. So of course, before we went into space, we were talking about going into space. Before we do anything, we talk about doing it. And in the process of talking about it, people make art about it, like science fiction. This is very, very simple stuff. Now remember this is like a French expressionist film. It's not even meant to be realistic, obviously. Simpsons predicted Trump, so what? Exactly. Somebody predicted everything somewhere.
The guy who made this, George Méliès, made all sorts of similar short movies around the same time.
Yeah, he was a weirdo.
The Astronomer's Dream.
French expressionist guy. This movie looks awesome.
Impossible Voyage.
Oh, is this the one where they actually like land on the moon and there's like creatures on it? Yeah, I think that's them on the moon. That's their moon set. Look how realistically they predicted everything.
Courtship of the Sun and Moon.
So here's what he's doing. There was a director, Ebola and a lot. What about Ebola? I'm confused, Chopper. What about Ebola? But so it's pretty clear what happened here, right? This was a French expressionist director who was pretty clearly obsessed with space stuff. So he made movies about space stuff. Imagine that. It's so realistic. This is great.
Conquest of the Pole. The North Pole, that is.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that vaguely relates to Globe Earth. This stuff is awesome. I want to see all these movies. Guys, can we review these movies? I bet they're in the public domain.
More pre-moon landing movies that conditioned us mentally were Destination Moon from 1950.
That looks great. So realistic. Sounds like a porn.
Yeah, 1955, okay. Conquest of Space.
Yeah, they're getting all these details right. But, like, what's your point? We made
1958, From the Earth to the Moon.
Oh! I thought this guy sounded familiar. Simpsons predicted the disease Ebola, and also Homer did a super hard equation that nobody knew. Conquest for the Pole. Conquest for the Pole sounds like a porno. It totally does. But yeah, I knew I recognized this guy's voice from somewhere. I saw this clip in another video. Jules Verne's From the Earth to the Moon conditioned us for the moon landing. Yeah, because it was made in 1957, the same year that NASA was founded. Ooh, except Jules Verne. Yeah, you know who Jules Verne was? You know when Jules Verne was alive? 1865. Like, almost 100 years before NASA. So, what's your point? People thought up space travel before we did space travel. Incidentally, From the Earth to the Moon, that's one where we hadn't really figured out how rockets were going to work yet, and his idea was to fucking fire the rocket out of a gun from the Earth to the Moon.
That's the same year NASA was established.
Yeah, and it had all the same ideas.
1960, 12 to the Moon.
That looks like a leftover Battlestar Galactica helmet, but it's not because it's older than Battlestar.
Then, in 1962, JFK gave his famous "We choose to go to the moon" speech.
That's not a good JFK impression.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things.
Followed by more mental conditioning in First Men in the Moon, 1964.
Why is it mental conditioning? Why is it mental conditioning? Nobody forced you to go to the theater in 1964 and watch First Men in the Moon. How is that conditioning? It's just put out there by people, by studios, by directors. This isn't government conditioning. This is some artsy guy had an idea and wanted to make a thing. This is back in the days when people made movies and not studios. So how in the hell can you call this mental conditioning?
And Jules Verne's Rocket to the Moon in 1967.
That's the, I think the sequel to From the Earth to the Moon. Again, written 100 years before NASA. Look, there's even the canon.
In 1969, NASA goes to the moon for the first time, where President Nixon talked to them on the phone with no problem.
No. Not with no problem.
Oh, Neil and Buzz, I'm talking to you by telephone.
With no problem. And then cuts to the shittiest footage ever.
From the Oval Room at the White House. And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made from the White House.
And also, yeah, there's not gonna be much issue there. You're gonna have a 3-second delay, maybe a tiny bit more, but you realize that like NASA communicated with the Apollo astronauts. You realize that Nixon's phone there is probably going to NASA and then to the shuttle. Audio of the call sounds dimensional. Yeah, I think he's put a layering effect on it to make it sound like it's reaching the astronauts at the exact same time, and that's not true. That would not have happened, and he's fucked with this in some way because, like, none of it makes sense. Why the hell would fucking Nixon's White House phone be able to call the moon? You need other technology. He's calling NASA, and they're patching him into the moon.
I just can't tell you how proud we all are of what you have done. For every American, this has to be the proudest day of our lives.
Only there is a problem. Nixon would not have been able to talk to them because the moon is supposedly 238,000 miles away.
That's not true. Why can't we talk to someone who's that far away? Like, that's just like an outright lie. They can't do it because they were so far away. No. Just no. Like, you've provided no explanation for why that is. That's just plain fucking wrong.
From then on, most of the world believes that NASA really goes to a place called outer space, and anyone that disagrees is an ignorant conspiracy nut lacking in education. It's not all their fault, though. The propaganda is rampant. In 1981, MTV launches and does their first broadcast with the use of NASA imagery.
7, 6, 5, 4. We've gone for main engine start. We have main engine start.
Ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll.
Okay. So they did a thing with NASA imagery. And
MTV.
Like what? What? Like, because any company chooses to advertise in a way that is related to NASA, it's immediately conditioning.
Even uses an astronaut on the moon as the logo for movies.
Wait. Did you say MTV uses an astronaut on the moon as the logo for movies? Hear that again.
MTV even uses an astronaut on the moon as the logo for movies.
For movies. on MTV. Movies on MTV, guys. Wow. I mean, I'm not going to say anything more, but wow. Oh, boy. Oh, music television.
And they give out the ask.
Oh wait, no, there's a real thing. He was talking about a real thing. What the fuck? He was talking about a real thing.
And they give out that.
He was talking about a real goddamn thing. All right, so that makes perfect sense then. That MTV would use that as the logo for this little minor production company, which I'm willing to bet if I looked it up, MTV Films, I bet it didn't do well. I bet it's not around anymore because I've never heard of MTV Films. But it makes sense that they would use that as their advertising platform if the original MTV logo involved usage of astronaut imagery. Like, why not stick with the theme?
And they give out the astronaut statue for Best Music Video Award.
Because that was their logo. Oh my god. Katy Perry is conditioning us to believe in space. Oh no, don't fall, Katy. I love that she's just flailing around until they grab her. That was like the most graceless thing I've ever seen.
This is because MTV.
Hilarious. Oh, Masonic television. Masonic television. That's great.
Is ran by Freemasons.
What?
This is because MTV is ran by Freemasons.
Evidence?
They even operate out of a Freemasonic temple.
Okay. They might have a building that says Masonic Temple outside it. I don't know. That might be true. Honestly, can't speak on that. But, so? Oh no. Oh no, it's the compass. It's the compass above the
NASA is also a Masonic entity.
NASA is not a Masonic entity. He's now gonna go on to say that almost every astronaut has been a Mason. No, they haven't. What do they get out of it? What do Masons get out of it? Fucking nothing. Who the hell knows? Masons are the conspirators. It doesn't make any sense as to why. But also, yeah. How many astronauts are Masons? So let's see. There's been about it's something like 530 something people who have been into space throughout the history of space travel, and I think about 16 of them were Masons. So what?
If not all NASA astronauts belong to a lodge.
Excuse me?
Most, if not all NASA astronauts belong to a lodge.
A blatant lie that I just demonstrated with numbers. 16 out of over 500. 16 over 500. You know how I know this? You want to know how I figured out that fact? I went to the Freemason website where they openly brag about how many astronauts are Masons, and it's 16 of them. You can go ahead yourself and check if you want.
Like our buddy Buzz Aldrin here.
Yep, Buzz is a Mason.
Freemasons are just drudges in the grand scheme of things.
Pardon?
Freemasons are just drudges in the grand scheme of things.
Oh.
They do a lot of grunt work for the Grand Deception and the New World Order.
Okay. Masons are just pawns in the New World Order conspiracy. I understand. What? Alright. So this looks like it was probably some kind of coin that the Masons put out, because that doesn't look like any sort of official currency. And like I said, the Masons love to brag about how many astronauts they have.
Freemasonry is a Jewish establishment whose history, grades, official appointments, passwords, and explanations are Jewish from beginning to end.
What? What am I watching? Guys, what have I gotten into? What? This is gonna take a weird turn. This is about to go into a possibly inappropriate place. I realize I have 4 viewers right now. I know 2 of them are at least good friends of mine. Very briefly, or maybe it just paused. I don't know what happened. I lost internet for like 5 seconds. Somebody let me know what happened there and how that went. If you guys are still in the chat, if you guys are still watching, let me know what happened. It says I'm still going. So we appear to be streaming. I don't know if I lost my viewers. I'm sorry about that, guys. Someone talk in the chat if they could. I think I gotta reopen the app because it screwed up too. But I made like an hour and 8 minutes without losing the internet. Because I knew this was a problem. I knew that having a wireless connection was gonna be an issue. Great, okay. Am I still streaming? God damn it. Working now. Okay, well, I can't see the chat. It's not working in the app. Hey, there we go. Alright, I'm back in. Okay, restarting from the hour and 8 minute mark.
Individuals and families that are privy to the teachings of the mystery schools because of their social status. It's not for your average Freemason that joined the local lodge down the street. Anyway, back to Buzz Aldrin. This guy has lived his whole life.
That is an awesome shirt. Get your ass to Mars. That is an awesome shirt. Yes, Buzz Aldrin. Yes.
Life being a puppet for a more sinister power. He is still 100% under oath to obey today.
I'm gonna say though, Buzz is a weirdo. Buzz is a fucking weird guy, but he's also awesome. And anybody who knows me knows I like him primarily because he punched a dude in the face who wouldn't stop harassing him, saying he didn't go to the moon. It's some of the best footage ever. The guy calls him a coward and a liar and a thief, but he doesn't get the word thief out because Buzz fucking clocks him right in the jaw. It's awesome.
Here he is at some fashion show with Bill Nye. Looking good, Buzz, looking good.
With Bill Nye. I'm sure that's entirely what that was.
Speaking of Bill Nye, this guy was an actor on a sketch comedy show called Almost Live before being picked up by Disney in 1993.
Yeah? And? Wait. You mean they hired an actor to work on their TV show? Why would they do such a thing? They wanted to have children entertained by science, so they hired an actor? Someone who can make it entertaining? Why would they do such a thing? That's suspicious, guys. I don't know.
We all love Disney, right? Well, Disney, with the 666 in his logo.
If you cherry pick what you want to see. Like, what? With the 666 in its logo. Okay, there's also a 111 in its logo if I draw on it, let's see, here, and here. What does that mean? Like, you're seeing what you want to see, you fucking nutjob.
Has a special club at Disneyland called Club 33. And if that wasn't enough, Walt Disney helped found NASA along with Wernher von Braun, L. Ron Hubbard, and Jack Parsons.
Okay. More blatant lies. Wernher von Braun, yes. Wernher von Braun was 1 backwards 6. That's a stretch. Yeah. He's stretching everything here. But yeah, Wernher von Braun was involved with NASA. It's called Operation Paperclip. This is something they like to refer to as though it's some big secret, even though it's public knowledge and everybody knows about it. Operation Paperclip was they hired a bunch of former Nazi scientists to come back to America to assist with post-war research. Whoop-de-doo. One of them was really good with rockets, Werner von Braun. He made the V-2, so they put him in charge of the Marshall Space Flight Center. Why the hell not? Like, there's nothing suspicious about that, especially when it's all fucking public. But yeah, what's his name? L. Ron Hubbard being involved with the creation of NASA? Absolutely fucking not. No. Absolutely not. He was disgraced by the Navy. Everybody hated him. That guy is a fucking shill, and everybody who's not in his cult knows it. Oh, Disney made movies about
Here
space.
to introduce you to this new series is Walt Disney. In our modern world...
Oh, okay. So Walt Disney made movies about NASA. Like NASA before it got started. Like, we're working on a space program. Get excited, guys. How terrible. How suspicious.
Everywhere we look, we see the influence science has upon our daily lives. Discoveries that were miracles a few short years ago are accepted as commonplace today. Many of the things that seem impossible now will become realities tomorrow.
Does anybody hear a problem with anything Walt Disney is saying here? That's all true.
To this day, our minds are under attack constantly by these parasites.
Parasites?
We are submerged in a sea of programming and brainwashing to believe in things that have not and cannot be proven.
Except the shape of the Earth absolutely has been proven over and over and over again. You just refuse to accept the truth. So again, I'm going to briefly yield to the flat earthers on this. Yeah, the world is kind of bombarded with, we as people are bombarded with imagery and all of this annoying shit that we have to deal with and observe and perceive in our day-to-day lives. But those are things that come from mostly people. Right? The Walt clip did nothing for him. Yeah, Walt Disney said some perfectly reasonable things about how technology is bringing us forward in leaps and bounds. Oh no. But yeah, we are bombarded with like advertising and shit from companies, from people who are greedy and they want our money. Like it's not this government conditioning, it's capitalism at work. That's what you're seeing there.
They want us to believe that Earth is the result of an accidental Big Bang that gave way to life of single-celled organisms that eventually turned into fish, then amphibians, then monkeys, and then us.
Yeah, they want us to believe that we're retarded fish frogs. That's now become his argument. He just went hard on evolution. Like, it was all conditioning and you're being brainwashed and NASA's lying to you, and then boom, evolution is wrong. He just shoehorned that in and just like did a complete 90-degree turn, and now he's going somewhere else entirely. Now we're doing a religious debate. Because obviously if it wasn't the scientific explanation for the creation of the universe, then it must be the religious interpretation of the creation of the universe. As Cypher says, a man in the sky. So, alright, you're a little schizo for me, my friend.
We are told that we live on a rock that spins as it flies through outer space, and at any moment we can be destroyed by an asteroid or invaded by aliens.
Wait. Who says that at any moment we can be invaded by aliens? Who said that? Can I get the government citation for the individual who made that claim? Or are you just basing that on the fact that humans have thought of the concept of alien invasion? What? And also, no, they don't say that we can be destroyed at any time by a meteor or an asteroid, because we actually do a really good job of tracking that stuff now.
They say that one day the sun will die out and all of this is over.
Yeah.
Well, gee.
In about 8 billion years, by the way, it's really not going to matter to us. Like, sure, yeah, they do tell us this, but what impact does it have in our day-to-day lives when they add it's going to happen in about 8 or 9 billion years?
If that doesn't make you feel special, then I don't know what will.
I don't want to feel special.
Question everything, because everything you think you know is wrong. This has been ODD TV. Until next time, everyone.
Okay, yes. Final statement. I will agree with that final statement. Question everything. Question everything. Question this video. Question the fuck out of this video, because it has lied numerous times. It has run on millions of assumptions. It draws false patterns that force your brain to recognize what you want to see. This whole thing is like hearsay and like confirmation bias. That's all he's gone on. There hasn't been any solid evidence of anything in this video. Like, NASA fails again and again. Nope. They just did stuff, and you pointed fake, and the rest of the world went, shut up. Like, there was nothing of substance in here. Wow. Okay, well that was easy. That was mentally taxing, because just trying to take in this information is sort of exhausting, but we did it. We got through it, folks. We made it through the first darn stream with only one brief interruption. So that was NASA fails again and again, refuted point by point by me, Kevin, your host. I know I only have a couple viewers. I don't know. I know I got Cypher and Gordy. I want to thank you guys for joining me. It's been consistently 3 for a while, so there's a third person in here somewhere. I don't know who it is, but thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. It's been fun. It's been weird. Cypher says one quarter of Americans are retarded. South Park. Yes. Do you remember the context in which they quantified that? Let's see. There's 4 of us. You're retarded. Yeah, so that was some flat Earth debunking. It was really, really easy because this is all really, really stupid. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed this stream, follow me. If you want to see some more stuff I've made, you can check out my YouTube channel. If Cypher or Gordy could put the link to that in the chat, I'd really appreciate that. But otherwise, just look up Lazy Alien Studios. Look us up on Facebook. Look us up on YouTube. We've got a Godzilla review series that we're in the process of making. We're currently locked in a copyright dispute with Toho Studios, which is part of the reason I came to Twitch here, because I like the idea of doing things live. I like the idea of doing things unedited. It's easier on my brain, and no copyright disputes. I just made a video out of showing someone else's content. Thanks, Odd Reality. And this was fun. So I might be doing a lot more on Twitch. I'm gonna come back. I'd like to stream once a week for at least an hour or 2, if I can. I'll do some gaming streams eventually, once I get more properly set up for this stuff. But thank you everyone very much for watching, and I am out.